It is Tuesday, February 24th, 2026, and the eastern half of Canada is dealing with a serious winter storm situation right now. Newfoundland has been buried. St. John saw over 50 centimeters of snow in a storm earlier this week and is now dealing with a second winter storm this morning. At the same time, Arctic air that shattered records across the prairies 2 days ago is finally beginning to ease this morning. Out in Nunavut, the temperature plummeted to -50. 44 degrees C on Saturday, setting a brand new all-time daily record for the Eureka area. That broke a record, standing since 1964. My goodness, this has been an extraordinary and historic stretch of Canadian winter weather. So, let's get right into it and break down everything you need to know today from British Columbia all the way to Newfoundland. Starting on the west coast, Vancouver and Metro Vancouver are seeing periods of rain today with a high of +8 degrees. There are no active weather warnings for Metro Vancouver this morning, and conditions are relatively calm compared to the rest of the country today. Now, Vancouver Island and parts of the BC coast had a rough weekend. A deep low-pressure system pushed through on Saturday and Sunday. Cathedral Point recorded a wind gust of 116 kilometers per hour, and Courtney picked up 78 millimeters of rainfall during that event. Campbell River Airport saw 6 centimeters of snow. That system is now pushing east, and BC coast conditions are steadily improving today. If you're traveling the Trans-Canada through the Fraser Valley or heading up to Whistler, roads should be in decent shape. Just watch for wet conditions. Now let's head into the prairies, because what a turnaround we are seeing across Alberta. What a dramatic warm-up is underway today. Calgary is waking up to around 14 degrees this morning after a bitterly cold weekend, but a Chinook influence is moving in. By this afternoon, Calgary climbs all the way to +3 degrees. That's a nearly 17-degree swing in just one day. Classic Chinook territory. Winds out of the west will gust 20 to 40 kilometers per hour today, with the wind chill sitting around 14 this morning. To put this weekend into perspective, Clarissom recorded 28. 9 degrees C on Saturday, breaking the previous record of 27. 3 degrees, which was set in 2018. Bow Island hit 26. 9 and Milk River reached 27. 5. Truly extraordinary Arctic conditions across southern Alberta just 48 hours ago. Calgary now warms to +6 by Wednesday and +7 by Thursday. A very welcome change for everyone across the province. Enjoy it. No active weather warnings for Alberta this morning. If you're driving the Deerfoot or the QE2, conditions are generally good across the province today. Over in Saskatchewan, Regina endured a brutal overnight. The temperature dropped all the way to 30 degrees C last night. Regina is now recovering today with a high of 6 mix of sun and cloud. The worst of that Arctic air has moved out. Saskatoon is sitting at 21 this morning with a wind chill of 29. That lingering cold is still being felt further north today. Wind chill values like 29 can cause frostbite on exposed skin within minutes. Please dress accordingly if you are heading outside in Saskatchewan today. Winnipeg, the coldest major Canadian city today, a high of only 12 degrees with an overnight low crashing all the way to 23. Wind chill values will make it feel significantly colder throughout the day. No active warnings, but this is dangerously cold weather for all of Manitoba. All right, moving into Ontario, and we're watching a tricky situation developing across the province today, with strong northwest winds moving in tonight. Toronto Pearson reported light snow at 2 degrees this morning, with northerly winds at 14 kilometers per hour and a wind chill of 7. Today's Toronto forecast calls for a 40% chance of flurries through the morning. Then skies begin to clear with a high of 3. But tonight is the real concern for Toronto. Northwest winds gusting 40 to 60 km/h move in, and the low crashes to 14. Wind chill values tonight will feel like 23 in Toronto. If you're driving the 401 or the Gardiner Expressway, prepare for gusty crosswinds and blowing snow. Hamilton is seeing the same setup. Light snow early this morning, improving later. Then that northwest wind surge brings a wind chill of 23 tonight. No active warnings for the Greater Toronto Area or Hamilton, but please dress in layers for this evening because it is going to feel extremely cold. Ottawa had about 2 centimeters of snow overnight, which is wrapping up this morning. Today brings a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 0. Ottawa's overnight low tonight, however, is a stinging 17 with wind chill values pressing down around 23 through the overnight hours. No warnings are in effect for Ottawa, but keep those heating systems running, and please check on neighbors who may need assistance getting through the night. Heading into Quebec, Montreal is mainly cloudy today with a high of 0 degrees after a cool overnight low of 7 this morning. No weather alerts are in effect for the Montreal area. Welcome news given how much weather action there has been elsewhere across Canada today. Watch that wind chill in Montreal tonight. It drops to 14 and Tuesday brings a high of 9 with another low of 14. By Wednesday into Thursday, we'll be watching a potential snow system developing for central and eastern Quebec. We'll have more on that in the extended forecast. Now, this is where today's major story is unfolding. Atlantic Canada is in a significant winter storm and yellow warnings are active across the region. Halifax is under a yellow warning winter storm as of this morning issued by Environment Canada on Sunday, February 22nd. The warning remains in full effect today. Environment Canada is forecasting 15 to 25 centimeters of total snowfall for Halifax and surrounding areas with locally higher amounts possible in some exposed locations. Wind gusts out of the northeast are reaching 70 kilometers per hour today, and over exposed coastal areas, those gusts could hit 90 kilometers per hour. The good news for Halifax, snow is expected to transition to rain along the Atlantic coast later tonight. But until then, travel is very challenging. If you're on the 102 between Halifax and Truro or heading out on the 104 toward Cape Breton, allow extra time and reduce your speed significantly. Visibility will be suddenly reduced to near zero at times in blowing snow. That's what makes this storm particularly dangerous for drivers across Nova Scotia today. New Brunswick, and specifically southern New Brunswick, including St. John, is also under a yellow warning winter storm as of this morning. This warning was updated at 10:39 p.m. Atlantic time last night. Environment Canada is maintaining high forecast confidence. The impact level is rated moderate. St. John is looking at 20 to 30 centimeters of total snowfall today, with locally higher amounts possible. That's even more than Halifax is expecting. Northeast winds are gusting to 70 kilometers per hour, up to 90 over exposed coastal areas. This is a powerful and prolonged storm for southern New Brunswick. Environment Canada says road closures are possible. This warning runs from Monday morning through early Tuesday. So we're talking about an extended hazardous travel period. If you are in the St. John area or anywhere across southern New Brunswick, postpone non-essential travel until Tuesday afternoon. Please stay safe and stay home. And now, Newfoundland. This is the headline story of the day. St. John's has been through an absolutely extraordinary winter storm event this weekend. There is still a yellow warning winter storm in effect for St. John's and vicinity right now this morning, and the impact level is rated high. St. John's recorded over 50 centimeters in a major storm that ended last Thursday and is now dealing with the second significant storm system on top of all that snow. In the first storm earlier this week, St. John's Airport recorded approximately 50 centimeters of snow. The second storm is now adding significantly to that total. As of this morning, 10 to 15 additional centimeters are still expected with snowfall rates of 2 to 4 centimeters per hour possible under heavier snow bands. Wind gusts from the north to northeast are reaching 80 to 100 kilometers per hour in St. John's. A coastal flooding statement is also in effect. That coastal flooding statement covers northern and northeastern shorelines from Collier to Renew's Kappa Hayden. Higher than normal water levels expected near high tide this morning. Environment Canada states that significant property damage is possible. Avoid all non-essential travel and outdoor activities in the St. John's area until conditions improve significantly. Conditions will gradually improve later today as the snow tapers to scattered flurries. But this morning remains very dangerous and impacts will linger into the afternoon. All right, let's look ahead at the next 3 days. Because there's a lot going on and some significant temperature swings are coming across the country. Starting with Tuesday, February 24th, conditions improve significantly across Atlantic Canada. Halifax moves to -2 with a 60% chance of flurries through the day. St. John's warms dramatically to +6 on Tuesday, with periods of snow or rain. Quite the temperature spike after the cold intensity of this storm. Across Ontario on Tuesday, Toronto sees a sunny day at 5. Ottawa at 9. Cold but calm, a much more settled day across the province. Montreal on Tuesday, sunny and 9 with a low of 14 overnight. A brief lull before more weather activity develops across the region midweek. On the prairies for Tuesday, Calgary at +1, Rajganina at 10, Winnipeg and Saskatoon both remaining cold, but no active warnings are expected province-wide. Now, Wednesday, February 25th. And this is where we start watching for another round of precipitation developing across central and eastern Canada. Toronto is looking at a 60% chance of snow overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Ottawa has 40% during the day, rising to 60% overnight. Watch this. Montreal is looking at periods of snow or flurries Wednesday. High of -2. Not a major event at this point, but something to monitor closely. Calgary hits +6 on Wednesday, the warmest day of the forecast period. Sunny skies and that welcome Chinook pattern continuing right across Alberta. Winnipeg gets its best day Wednesday, a high of 1 after those lows of 23 and 24. That will feel practically warm by comparison. But watch Friday, February 27th, Calgary drops back to 11 with a 60% chance of flurries. That Arctic air is not done with Alberta yet. And Winnipeg's overnight low for Thursday night into Friday crashes back to 24 degrees C. That extreme cold is absolutely returning to Manitoba by the weekend. Vancouver and Metro Vancouver through this period, mild and mostly cloudy. +9 Wednesday and Thursday. Showers returning Thursday night. A typical coastal February pattern. Now let's talk about days 5 to 7. There are a couple of developing systems we need to watch closely because they could bring significant impacts for Ontario and Quebec. A potential snow system is developing late Wednesday night and continuing into Thursday, February 26th. Uncertainty remains high at this forecast range. Toronto showing 60% chance of snow or rain Thursday. Ottawa at 60% snow. Montreal currently sunny Thursday, but that could easily change by midweek. The uncertainty comes from the temperature profile. We're right near 0 degrees, and whether precipitation falls as snow, rain, or freezing rain matters enormously here. This is what meteorologists call an overrunning situation. Warm, moist air slides over top of colder surface air, producing significant ice or heavy mixed precipitation. We're not at a warning stage yet, but if you're in southern Ontario or Quebec, watch Wednesday evening carefully. Thursday morning could bring a real travel disruption for Atlantic Canada later this week. New Brunswick and Nova Scotia are also watching that potential system Wednesday night into Thursday. The East Coast pattern stays active for Newfoundland through the extended period. Snow or rain Tuesday, cloudy Wednesday, then periods of snow returning Thursday and Friday. An active winter pattern continues after what St. John's has been through 2 major storms in 1 week with over 50 centimeters recorded in the first event. Residents there will be watching Thursday closely. Back to the prairies, another significant Arctic air mass appears to be pushing back in toward the end of this week and into the coming weekend. Calgary swings from +7 on Thursday all the way to -1 on Friday with a 60% chance of flurries, an 8-degree drop in 24 hours. Saturday sits at 8 for Calgary. That cold air sticks around into the weekend. Warm layers are essential if you're heading to any outdoor activities. Winnipeg's overnight low Thursday into Friday crashes back to 24, then only 17 Friday afternoon. Extreme cold returns to Manitoba heading into the weekend. Regina follows a similar pattern, +3 on Thursday, then cooling significantly through the weekend. The prairie cold pattern is very much still in play. All right, let's bring it all together. Here's the full picture for Monday, February 23rd, 2026, based on data from Environment Canada this morning. Active yellow warning winter storm warnings are in effect right now for St. John's in Newfoundland, Halifax in Nova Scotia, and southern New Brunswick, including St. John. If you are in any of those 3 areas, do not travel unless absolutely necessary. Give emergency vehicles room and stay off the roads until conditions improve. For the rest of the country, it is cold, particularly across the prairies, Ontario, and Quebec. But no additional active warnings are in effect this morning. Watch for the midweek snow system developing for Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada Wednesday night into Thursday, and the return of Arctic air across the prairies by Friday. All data in today's video comes directly from Environment Canada Weather. GCCA, updated Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Always check official sources for the latest warnings. This is a developing weather pattern and things can change quickly, especially for that midweek system. I will have a full update right here for you tomorrow. If today's forecast was helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure notifications are turned on so you never miss an update. Especially this week with multiple active systems from coast to coast, you want to stay ahead of what is coming so you can plan accordingly. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, Canada, and take care of each other through this stretch of difficult winter.